Current blood sugar 118 and stable. Had a pretty decent day today, but I'm going to be filming my 3-part series on metabolism, and I said I wanted to make a video and show you guys what carbs look like, what fats look like, what protein looks like, and kind of how explain the scientific stuff behind how your body uses them. I did have to learn this in biochem, biochem meaning biochemistry for those of you that don't know what that is. But I'm going to explain some of the scientific stuff, but a lot of the stuff we had to learn was a lot more in detail. We had a lot of the minor steps and more of like how to diagram these different molecules and what like a protein is structured like, what a carbohydrate is, can we make that, draw them out and link them together. I won't go too much into depth with that, but anyways, with that being said, let's get right into this video. Hey y'all, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. And today is part 1 of my metabolism series. And today we're going to look at carbohydrates and what they look like, how your body turns them into energy. So first of all, I just want to apologize for this past week's videos. I don't know what the heck YouTube was doing, but Friday's video turned out to be up on Saturday. Saturday's video ended up on Sunday. And it looks like Monday's video is going to be there Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm filming this video prior to that time. And it's still uploading very slowly, so I apologize for that. But I know you all are very, very considerate and very, very understanding of how technology some days is not going to work in your favor. So, I decided to do this because I think I can maybe, like I said, I love understanding the science behind things. And the fact I've taken some classes in this background and got a little bit of prior knowledge on this, I think maybe I can shed some light on how we actually metabolize these things that we use. So this first part is going to be on carbohydrate. For those of you that don't know, there's 3 main sources of energy and 3 main biomolecules that our body uses on a regular basis and that we can consume. There's carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So for today, we're going to take a look at carbohydrates. Now your body uses energy called ATP, but we just don't get ATP from the food we consume. Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins all have to be broken down into ATP via different stages, via different cycles, and so on and so forth. So first of all, carbohydrates, the word can be broken down. Carbon, they're all atoms, all they are is composed of carbon and hydrogen atoms. And as a matter of fact, that is what a glucose molecule looks like. All of these carbohydrates and sugars kind of look like a hexagonal shape, and all you can see is they're made up of carbon atoms, hydrogen atoms, and oxygen atoms. Hydrates means oxygen and hydrogen together. Think of water, H2O, you kind of get the picture. So this is your body's number 1 energy source. This is the first thing your body wants to break down for energy because it is the quickest to go through a process. Now this looks like a process, but in reality it is actually really, really fast for your body to do this compared to using fats and proteins. Now this is what we consider a monosaccharide, or a single molecule of glucose or sugar or carbohydrate. Most of these though are going to be linked and changed, and they're going to be called polysaccharides. So actually when you consume something with glucose, say you consume some glucose tablets, there's probably going to be chains and chains of these sugar tabs, or of this molecule in those sugar tablets. And your body's going to do is cut them bonds in half. It's literally all they're doing is breaking a certain bond in between each one through this process to obtain it and put it into energy source and ATP. Now, if you're a type 1 diabetic like myself, the hormone that we use to help move carbohydrates once they're converted into like actual blood sugar molecules, the hormone insulin is what allows that sugar to move from the bloodstream, from digestion, into the tissues so that they can be converted to energy. We need insulin. So if you have type 1 diabetes like me, actually it's a metabolism disease. Basically, we cannot properly metabolize sugars or carbohydrates because we do not have the appropriate hormone, insulin, to allow that sugar to be transported into the cells to be used for energy so that we can use our muscles, think, move, whatever, feel good, And if you're a type 1 diabetic, when you do not lack insulin and all of that sugar builds up in your bloodstream, it actually then causes your body to revert to a second metabolism stage, fats. But that will be in tomorrow's video. So some examples of sugar is glucose, fructose, and galactose. If it's a sugar, it ends in OSE. There's another thing that I kind of learned in biochem. Glucose is pretty much what's going to be, is the most simple and easiest sugar for your body to digest because it's not very complex. It doesn't have complex bonds. As a matter of fact, cellulose is a sugar too, but it is found in plants. Here's a random fact for you. You want to know why we can't break down cellulose? Because when these different molecules of cellulose are linked together, they're linked together with beta linkages, and our body does not have the enzyme to break down beta linkages. We only have the enzyme to break down alpha linkages, so that is why we cannot metabolize cellulose. It's actually a difference between an oxygen being on top and an oxygen being on the bottom, and in the way that the bonds are laid across between the oxygens and the carbon atoms. It's absolutely crazy that just the most minuscule thing in biochemistry can mean the difference for us being able to digest that or not. Now, animals like cows and sheep and deer, they can digest cellulose because they have the enzymes located in their stomach acids, and that they can secrete from their pancreas or secrete from other organs to break that down. So glucose, like I said, is going to be found in a lot of your refined sugary foods like candies, cakes, glucose tablets, juice, and that is why it is recommended that when you have a low blood sugar to take something that literally has pure glucose, because it is the easiest and quickest thing for your body to digest and put sugar literally back into your bloodstream. Fructose is going to be your common one found in fruit, and galactose is found in dairy products like milk. You may have also heard it as lactose. Some people do have a reaction to dairy or a sensitivity to dairy. Basically, their body can't handle that sugar, or they may not have enough of that particular enzyme to break apart that particular sugar molecule. So therefore, it may cause them to have allergies or digestive issues. So now we're going to get into the actual process. So if you look here, you could take any of these sugars and break them down into this energy state here. So you're going to be going through this thing called glucose 6-phosphate. Yes, phosphate. I had to look because I'm trying to read backwards here. And then that's going to go through, when you go through there, it's actually going to break down into glycolysis, and that is the breaking apart of sugar molecules. Or let's say you break apart and you use the energy up. But let's just say you weren't very active that day and you had more calories in which you consume. Your body will also go through the process of gluconeogenesis, which then your liver will convert to glycogen, which, what I have said to you guys, glycogen is literally sugar converted into fat-based molecules that you store around your abdomen, you store around your arm. It's your excess fat storage. So actually, fats do not make you fat. That the fats that you consume really don't make you fat. It's the excessive amount of carbohydrates that you consume to make you fat, because the excess carbs that you consume, your body turns into glycogen. Your liver will turn it into glycogen, and insulin will help you store that away in your muscles and in the fat cells so that you can use it at a later time. But let's just say you ate what you appropriately needed. So you're going to go through this glycolysis stage where you're literally going to break apart these glucose molecules. From there, it's going to get turned into this molecule called pyruvic acid. And when it's turned into pyruvic acid, it's also going to have another byproduct called lactic acid. And then from lactic acid and pyruvic acid, it will be turned into a molecule called acetyl-CoA. I apologize, my finger must have smudged the marker. And then from acetyl-CoA, once all of this is converted into that molecule, it then goes through what we call a citric acid cycle and the ETC, or the electron transport chain, and then at that point, you are turned into ATP. So that is the basics behind how your body uses carbohydrates for energy. Like I said, it's the first source your body wants to use because it's the easiest to break down. Now you may say, this looks complicated, but your body is doing this on a regular basis without you even knowing it. Your body is a biochemical machine, and it's absolutely phenomenal how we can convert things from like a piece of cake into broken down glucose and turn it into this phosphatase and then to pyruvic acid, and then put that through the citric acid cycle, which is a whole other thing in itself. Is a lot more detailed than just saying it's citric acid cycle, and then the electron transport chain to be turned into ATP, which your body then can use for energy. And with the help of insulin, you can then convert those sugars from the bloodstream into the tissues to be used for energy. Insulin allows that sugar to enter in. So carbohydrates, as you know, are found in all different things, but the main sources that I talked about today are refined sugars, fruits, and dairy products. Now keep in mind, sugars are also found in vegetables. If you have canned meats or like smoked meats, there may be small amounts of carbohydrate. If you have like nuts and seeds, they also have some natural sugars, so keep that in mind. But your body would probably have to break that down into it would take a while for your body to break that down, because there is a difference between a simple carb and a complex carb. A simple carb would be like pure glucose or like pure sugar, like glucose tablets. A complex carb would be something like nuts, where there's going to be carbohydrate naturally built into them, but because of the amount of fiber in them and the amount of fats, your body has to break all that fiber and that fat that it really doesn't need at the moment to get access to that carbohydrate. But in the process of you breaking down that carbohydrate, your body is burning so much excess calories trying to break it apart and get rid of all that fiber and all that excess stuff. So the process would take a little longer. That's why as a type 1 diabetic, when we're taught to subtract a certain amount of fiber off of your total carbohydrate count, I was taught whatever the grams is of fiber, take the amount and divide it in 2, and then subtract it off your total. For example, if I was going to eat something with 40 grams of carbohydrate and it had 6 grams of fiber, I would take 6 divided by 2, and that equals 3, and then I would only account for 37 grams of carbohydrate, because the fiber actually kind of delays the absorption of blood sugar, or it doesn't allow as much sugar to get absorbed because of the slow digestion. So if you're going to eat carbohydrates, I recommend a lot of complex carbohydrates or carbohydrates that are found in vegetables. Carbohydrates in dairy also are good. If, at least for me, they don't bother me as much because I don't have a dairy allergy, but keep in mind, if you're allergic to lactose or you have a lactose sensitivity, please don't consume that. Things that are higher and refined in carbohydrates are going to be really difficult for us diabetics to handle, because it's going to cause an immediate spike, and it may be a hard time for us to come down and match with insulin. So I recommend eating more complex carbs if you're going to put them on your plate. That's just me. I'm not one to be eliminating carbs as a diabetic, but I'm also one to recognize that the more complex carbs I eat that are in like nuts and seeds, avocados, vegetables, grains that have a lot of fiber in them, or grains that are heavier in proteins or fats, my body can handle better, and it allows my body to better match my glucose to my insulin needs. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. I post videos every single week about diabetes plus more. Stay tuned for Saturday and Sunday, when I will delve into part 2 and part 3 of this series on metabolism. So until tomorrow for part 2, take care, God bless, be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. Bye, everyone.